Hello, I'm Barry Scheu. I'm the creator and writer of the story for the BiPolar CyBearg. His origin story begins with a German scientist who is creating revolutionary new nanobots in the not too distant future. These nanobots have the ability. This is trillions of nanobots. Hundreds of millions have been created to administer pharmaceuticals and medical aid. Hundreds of millions of these nanobots have been embedded with quartz crystals to house and store information and to be able to produce laser like devices or weapons. They were created with the intent to be added to astronauts and or cosmonauts for the purpose of space travel, space exploration, and nearby colonies on the moon and Mars, and eventually interstellar space travel. Now, this scientist is funded by the government, but he's a special secret wing of the nanobot technology. And this is revolutionary, what he's created and been funded for. Um, as I said, these bots can communicate with one another. They are not controlled by magnets. They are controlled individually on their own. In the midst of this, they become self-aware. So the scientist realizes how important it is to keep them out of some people's hands. So he's keeping tabs on them, and the military comes for his bots because they understand the military applications. He has his lab partner escape with the briefcase. He calls security on his own lab partner. Now, this is all their plot to deceive the military that's coming after his technology. So the lab assistant dies in an attempt to deceive them, and they found nothing. Meanwhile, the professor who created all this takes his newly self-aware AI cybernetic life form of trillions of bots. They're like its cells, just like humans have microscopic cells. So he escapes on a helicopter and out of North Germany to his family estate outside of Oslo in Norway. Again, in an attempt to acquire this technology, they follow him there. He escapes into the woods. This is wintertime. A blizzard starts up. They're close behind, but they haven't located him yet. He takes the bots out of the large suitcase, the case they're being housed in, and they're also in a cylinder container. He stuffs it down into a tree well under a tree. That is a big hollow area under a tree in the ice. And so he didn't know it, but there's a bear hibernating down there. So the bots end up escaping and joining with this bear. And because they have their own personality, the bear begins to get his own personality and become self-aware as well. So now they are two personalities in one body, and he is, in a sense, bipolar. He later becomes the hero of Earth, and he dominates from the North Pole to the South Pole. So again, he's bipolar. And quirkiness and individuality will set in, and later he'll say things like, I'm not crazy, I have superpowers. So eventually, in the spring, before he's completely self-aware, he goes back and couples with a mate to reproduce. This is for procreation, because they're animals, and this is what they do. This is what all animals do on the planet. So through this coupling through his blood and DNA and his semen, these bots flow into his spouse, and then again into his the two cubs that are born. After he leaves, two cubs are born, and they all become self-aware later on. And with these nanobots, they have most of the information on the planet to problem solve and to create, and they know languages, and so they're able to speak. The BiPolar CyBearg, our hero, will eventually go on to save the Earth, help problem solve things on the Earth, help leaders of the world to solve problems and prevent catastrophes and aid in helping afterwards of the catastrophes that cannot be prevented. He will aid and help people. And so one of the things for a finale that he might do is, because Antarctica doesn't really have border protection, our hero is going to stop some scientists, stop some terrorists from detonating one or more nuclear weapons in Antarctica in their attempt to flood the port cities of the planet. So our bear will stop this devastation. And so he will also return, which most males don't. He will return home and discuss these things with his mate about how it happened. They don't know, that he will return and check on her and the cubs later. And so after he leaves, I wanted to add some other quirky things into the storyline that are just funny, where the cub will ask Mama Bear, "Is Dad a breed apart?" And she's like, "You might say that he's just wired differently." And the baby's like, "Oh, I get it. Maybe his eyes twitching, or so." I believe that's all I have for this moment. Thank you for watching. Again, I am Barry Scheu, the creator and writer of this storyline for BiPolar CyBearg. Have a good day.